and also on the marketing side too, trying to perfect and improve on the marketing that I'm doing. So video is, one thing that I'm trying to focus on this next year is going to be one of my big goals. I try to do fun, usually it's self-made videos unless it's for a listing, which I use professional photography, but I'm trying to do more
Hi everybody, welcome back to our Workout Wednesday videos. We are in the third week of September and we are welcoming our next special guest, Sarah Rothstein, out of our Fleming Island office. We have her here today to talk a little bit more about her start in real estate, as just her time here with Berkshire Hathaway as well. But Sarah, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So it was, super cool to get you on because, we've had some discussions in the past. You even sold a house in my neighborhood, so that was fun. And you sold another one recently, right?
Yeah, I've had two in there in the past 6 months.
So I've seen a ton of houses pop up, and each time I kind of want to nudge our realtors. I don't know how all that works, but
I got to tell you too, those two houses that I sold actually went under contract. I think both of them within the first week. And
oh wow, sweet.
The average days on market in there is probably, I think, around 45, 60 days. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's
sweet.
Awesome to see those results.
So first, I just want to start out like we do all these videos. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with the company, what got you into real estate, just things like that.
Yeah, so I've been in real estate since 2016. My son was just born then. I was in pharmaceutical sales. I actually worked two jobs to kind of transition into real estate, was ramping down the sales that I was doing for the pharmaceutical industry and was increasing my business. And I moved here from Savannah. Savannah's, and I lived actually about 30 minutes outside of Savannah, so it was a big transition moving from a small town to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's like the largest city in the country by area, right? I've always loved Florida, loved the beaches, loved the sunny atmosphere and everything. So it was a pretty easy move, but I think that is one thing that helps me connect with my clients. There's a lot of people that we have moving to Florida from other states. And so one of the things that my experience of relocating here kind of helps me. I like to tell people about Jacksonville and it's a big city, but we have little pockets.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, part of our job is obviously selling the community, selling the area that we live in. And so that's been kind of enjoyable and a nice advantage of being from somewhere else and being able to share areas about Jacksonville with my clients.
Yeah, I think I'm similar too, because I moved here from a small town in Mississippi, and coming to Jacksonville was such a different atmosphere where going into town from 20 to 25,000 to almost 1 million here, where it's obviously the traffic is completely different.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on it. But
I was really excited when I moved to Orange Park because I thought it was the big city.
Yeah.
Actually, which is pretty sad, but.
So I think I'd love to tell a story of when I first started my first day here out, and I was driving out to corporate, and I got on 95, and I'd tell my fiance, I was literally white knuckle gripping the wheel because of how fast cars were going around me, and it was
our roads are really weird too. 295 in Jacksonville, and some of the all the curbs and swirls, and I don't know. It's just it's kind of hard to navigate when you're not from here.
I always would hate driving through big cities because, whenever I was up at Ole Miss, we would drive back down to here to visit her family, and we would have to go through Birmingham along the way, and I hated driving through Birmingham because there's always construction there. So it was a nightmare. Yeah. So long story short, I hate driving through cities, but I still love Jacksonville. We talked a little bit about kind of how you came from pharmaceutical sales to the real estate industry. How have you started using those personal experiences from pharmaceutical sales, and have you been able to link them to your real estate business?
Yeah, I was really surprised. So I was kind of in a niche market in the sales that I was in with the pharmaceutical stuff, and so it was a lot of cold calling, and a lot of trying to develop relationships with people who didn't know me. We weren't on contract with them, and it was all done on the phone. So I was actually kind of surprised when I got into real estate because we obviously want to try to sell homes to people that we know, but you only know when you first get into the real estate market so many people, very few people who at that moment in time want to buy or sell a house. So doing open houses and prospecting and things like that, talking to people that, whether it was in person or on the phone or email, that I didn't know, it was actually, I guess I had kind of developed those skills with my previous job that I was able to transfer over to real estate to help me in that aspect.
Yeah. How would you say that it's your strategy's transitioned over time from going to a new agent that's kind of doesn't have much clientele, you have to do a lot of cold calling, a lot of door knocking, a lot of prospecting, to now where you do have an established clientele? How has that changed over time?
Yeah, I'm a real big believer in going back to the basics. Yeah. And when we do get busy in real estate, it's very easy to not make time for those things, for the door knocking and cold calling. I used to try to make door knocking. Actually really enjoy that. And I guess that's because of the cold calling. Yeah. But I used to, my first several years, I used to try to say I was going to carve out, at least one day a week to go around and door knock, whether it was in a neighborhood where I had a listing or my particular neighborhood, which I was trying to farm. So I don't do as much of that now. But we do it, with open houses and, I guess in different forms. We're still, we should always be trying to prospect and trying to, generate new leads and things like that. So it has developed in a different way, but I'm still doing those things.
Yeah. So do you have any kind of aspect of your marketing that talks a little bit about market activity or anything like that? This week's topic is market activity flyers. Those can all be found, MC Plus, but yeah. Have you utilized this before? It doesn't have to be the specific flyer, but anything around those aspects in your marketing strategies?
Yeah, absolutely. When I do open houses, I'm a big believer of those. I know I've mentioned that a few times already, but when I do open houses, I try to bring a market activity flyer with me so that I can talk to people who have questions, even if they're not necessarily interested in that particular listing, or maybe they want to continue looking, but I can have market stats to share with them so that I look like the expert in our area, right? Yeah. And that's what people want. They want somebody who knows what they're talking about. I also do social media videos occasionally where I'm talking about, especially I like to focus in certain neighborhoods where I want to sell. Yeah. So people are always interested in what their neighbor's doing and what homes are selling for and what their values of their homes might be and hoping that they're increasing. So I think, our marketing flyers that we have, is a really great, easy, accessible, and already formatted template that we can use to not to really have to put in little effort. But I think there's all kinds of ways you can do that. I also I use RPR a lot to create market reports, and I use their AI script on RPR to to pull the market data on certain neighborhoods or zip codes, and then I can have it generate an email for me, like in literally 10 seconds. It sounds fantastic. It gives me a lot of helpful information too, besides just seeing the stats on the market activity, but to be really able to dig down deeper. And then I'll send that in an email. I have, I've met clients that are from other states that are maybe have a property here or maybe have a family member and they want to move here eventually. So I kind of, every once in a while send them a market report on email using things like that. To keep them informed, and they really appreciate it, and it makes me look like the expert.
Yeah, I like all those things that you said because it adds a lot of value to you, and it gives you a lot of advantage whenever you are trying to have someone sign on and have you be their realtor. And I think, especially now too, with all these changes that have happened recently and the changes over from August 17th, value I feel like now is so important whenever you are trying to sit down with a seller or a buyer and have them become their real estate agent. So one is kind of a two-part question. How has your value changed since the August 17th, or your value proposition maybe has changed since August 17th? And then two, how have you been adjusting to it just overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've always thought, it's always been important to be able to demonstrate our value to our clients, whether it's buyers or sellers. But I think now, since all the changes with the NAR lawsuit and everything, it's more important than ever. A few things that I'm doing, I'm trying to, I've developed, handouts and flyers, also putting, a lot of this information on social media, so that like I'm spending a lot more time, especially on my buyer side, actually doing a real buyer consult to really talk about like what I'm doing and what I'm doing differently than other agents. I'm not just opening doors, but just making sure it's kind of developing better communication skills, I guess, with our clients to make sure that we're sitting down and really taking the time to go over those things. And also on the marketing side too, trying to perfect and improve on the marketing that I'm doing. So video is, one thing that I'm trying to focus on this next year is going to be one of my big goals. I try to do fun, usually it's self-made videos unless it's for a listing, which I use professional photography, but I'm trying to do more, expand my videos in production, and so that I'm maybe highlighting more of the community or market, statistics and things like that to really show that I'm the professional and to demonstrate my value to sellers and buyers.
Yeah. Over your many years in real estate, you probably tailored to many different kinds of clients. How does your strategy in any kind of what you're dealing with change on the type of client that you're facing?
Yeah, so there are definitely different approaches and different things discussions I have with people depending on what their specialty is or what they're looking for. I definitely think it's really important though to make sure that you don't assume that just because someone's bought or sold 3 houses or 10 houses or whatever, that, people will tell you that all the time, that, I've sold lots of houses, but then you find out when you're working with them that maybe they have sold lots of houses, but they don't understand the whole process or it was different back then compared to what it is today. So I do think like communication and being very thorough, and even if it's, you have to get down to the basics again with these clients and making sure that you really talk about the process. But for first-time home buyers, it's a lot different conversation as far as, the buyer representation agreement and making sure that they understand all the expenses and the costs before we start going out and looking at homes. I have a first-time homebuyer flyer that I like to go over with my clients that talks about terms and phrases and things that they might need to know in the process. For investors, I actually flipped my first house recently, so I got some hands-on experience with that. And there's different types of investors too. I have several rental properties, so that's more of my comfort zone. But I've been learning a lot of different aspects of that and hard money lenders and things like that. So, the conversation and just being able to share my experience with people on that aspect has been helpful. And then, sellers, again, trying to understand what their goals and values are. Not everyone's different. So, I have a list of vendors, and a list of vendors that I give people if they need a lot of work done on their home. If it's an older person that's maybe moving into assisted care or downsizing or something, I'm going to be a lot more, I don't know if hands-on is the appropriate term, but I'm going to try to really hold their hand the whole process. And so it just kind of depends. I try to tailor my approach based on their personality and their situation. Yeah.
I want to shift a little bit, and I kind of want to talk about Rethink Counsil, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Just how has that whole process been for you in terms of your business, or even just meeting different people in the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services network?
Yeah, it's been totally invaluable. It's really nice to be able to meet people in other markets. To see what's going on there, and especially even now, and how our market here in Northeast Florida has slowed down a little bit. It's like that in a lot of other areas, but it's also, there are pockets of the country that, are still having multiple offers, and still the houses are only sitting on the markets for a week. So it's been, I've had a lot of hands-on ideas and marking pieces, and just learning a lot about what people are doing to kind of go to the next level. And there's a lot of different, there's a lot of people in different different parts of their career in the Rethink Counsil. So it's been fantastic networking with them and just sharing. Everybody's just so caring, and they're so open. So, and you don't have to worry about, being in the same market as somebody, and maybe, there's always a little bit of a competition sometimes when you're within your, although our office is great about that. We're a pretty open company, and I love that about Florida Network Realty, but yeah, it's been awesome.
So it's definitely kept you busy too.
I try to come back and share with our office different ideas and things that people are doing and stuff like that. That's the goal of it too, is to pump that out to the whole network, right? So, but it's been awesome.
Sounds like a really cool experience. As you are just continuing to grow and move deeper into your real estate career, how do you plan on just continuing to innovate? Maybe something that you might see coming on the forefront of how you're going to kind of keep one step ahead, if you want to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of mentioned it earlier. So video is definitely something that's not necessarily my comfort level, but I've been creating social media content and stuff like that. But I'm trying to take it to the next level. And one of the ways I want to do that this year is to hire a professional photographer to do a lot of community-focused videos. And part of that's going to be me highlighting neighborhoods that I like to sell in, or that I do sell in a lot. And just a general video of the community, so that I can, when I send out mailers, whether it's just listed or just sold, or maybe a market activity letter, that I could put like a QR code on it. And it'll take them either to my website, or maybe it takes them to a video of the community and me walking through, down a street, talking about the neighborhood and and all the amazing things about it. And attracting people, just for one, it shows them the level of marketing that I do, and sets me apart from other people. Hopefully, I think there's a lot of room for growth and in that area. And then, sorry, I had a mind blank.
No worries.
Yeah, so I have a lot of ideas for 2025 that I'm looking forward to sharing.
Sounds
but that's
awesome.
That's definitely one of the areas of focus that I'm excited about. Oh, I was going to say the other thing is seller seminars. So and I got this actually from somebody at the Rethink Counsil that I think they did a podcast, and they were interviewing another agent in a different part of the country, but she focuses a lot on seller seminars, and we think a lot of like first time home buyer seminars and things like that. But I'm planning on trying to create and be consistent with doing either virtual or in-person seller seminar in some of those same communities I was talking about with that I'm marketing for, and trying to focus on and hosting a seller seminar so we can talk about things like how to declutter, and if you're downsizing, what that looks like, and just to hopefully something that brings value to people, but also generates some leads there. Just
the final question here, we will do this in each of our videos, but what advice do you have to either new realtors, people that have been in the business for a long time, just any kind of advice you can give them?
I think show up to the office. I think there's, I know there's not always, a room full of people here every day, but showing up to the office, whether you're the only person in your little cubby or, or maybe you're learning things and hearing things when people come in, you're feeding off of their energy, hopefully. And I just think it helps, it's going to help elevate your business in the long term, even if you don't really think it's doing anything. It also puts you in the spot to make you sit down and do the work. It helps avoid distractions. And then I think being consistent, showing up to work every day, being consistent, setting goals, and really big on goal setting, and then creating activities to reach your goal. Writing those things down, being committed to it, staying consistent. And I think if you put in the time and you put in the work, you're going to see results. It seems really basic, some of the things and the ideas that we tell you to do in real estate, but those things work. So that's one of the best pieces of advice I think I can give.
Spectacular. And that will cover it for this week's Workout Wednesday. Thank you again to Sarah for coming on. It was an awesome conversation with her. I will put her social media handles here so you guys can go check her out further. And stay tuned until next week when we reveal our next special guest for our Workout Wednesday videos. But until next time, take care.